Hey students, I wish we were able to meet in person, but I know because of the increased cases, we've decided to hold off on midweek for a few weeks, but as soon as we're able to meet, we will let you know. But I wanted to come to you and I wanted to start a new series, and I just want to talk through some things, and the series is going to be titled Influencers. And I know when you hear that term influencer, you immediately think of a social media influencer, right? Someone who is trying to sell a product, promote an event, all these things. These people who have literally became famous over like just nothing, right? They just get on there and post pictures and these things, and then they become famous, and somehow they make money off of it, which is crazy. But as we talk about being an influencer, I want to encourage you. You as a child of God are called to be an influencer for Christ. You are called to influence those around you. And you may or may not realize it, but you're influencing everyone around you daily, in a good way or a bad way. And so when we think about the term influencer, and we think about influencers throughout history, a couple of things that I think really stands out to me is that influencers always know that their message is meaningful. They have a message and it means something, right? They're not just in there for doing random things. And we're not talking about just your social media influencers who are doing the nonsense stuff. We're talking about those who actually have a message and are attempting to accomplish something. But not only is the message meaningful, but the influencers in history, they have a motivation that is much larger than just themselves. They have a motivation that is greater than just who they are. And so when we talk about making an influence for the kingdom or making an impact for the kingdom and being an influence to our friends, I want to challenge you with one thing today, and that is humility over arrogance. Let's choose a life that is humble over a life that is arrogant. If you look in James chapter 4, we see a warning against worldliness. And it's talking about quarrels and fights and all these things among us. And in verse 6, James tells us, but he gives more grace. Therefore, it says, God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. He opposes the proud and gives grace to the humble. Submit yourselves, therefore, to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. And it goes on to talk about purifying your hearts and, and cleansing your hands and all these things. But I want you to focus on this thought process. If we approached our lives as those who are going to choose humility over arrogance, imagine what it does. It changes our influence. If we decide, hey, we are going to take the lower seats so someone else can be elevated, then not only have we elevated someone else and given them, an opportunity to shine, but we have also built a level of respect with that person. And so when it becomes time to really get down to the details and really share the truth of the gospel with them, we have a strong relationship and we're able to do so. Looking down on James chapter 4 and verse 10, it says, humble yourselves before the Lord, and he will exalt you. The struggle with pride and arrogance is, I think, one that we all struggle with. We all want our voices to be heard. We all want to be at the top of the list. And it may not be your biggest struggle, but at some point in your life, you have wrestled with wanting to be first, right? You think about being a little kid and going to a birthday party, and they're getting ready to hand out goodie bags or the cake, and they're blowing out the candles, and all the little kids rush to the very front and they get right up there by it because they want to be the first one, right? This mindset of humility over arrogance and being a positive influence around our friends and for the sake of the kingdom is one where we intentionally choose to be last. We intentionally choose to place others before ourselves. And what happens is when we humble ourselves, then when God is ready and when he thinks it and when he knows that we are ready, he will exalt us to the place where we need to be. And so to be an influencer for the kingdom, to influence your friends and your family and those around you with the gospel, you must choose humility over arrogance. You must choose humility over arrogance. I want to tell you, some people associate being humble with putting yourself down, right? "Well, I'm just no good." That's not being humble. Being humble is not putting yourself down or hiding the things you're good at. Being humble is about seeing yourself as God sees you. It's about seeing yourself as God sees you and seeing yourself as all the things that God has created you to be, all the not yet perfected things, and then everything else in between. Being humble is not about putting yourself down or being, quote unquote, that I'm just a horrible person, I'm no good, and that. No, being humble is about seeing yourself as God sees you and owning the things that aren't perfect yet. Understanding that when you don't have to lie, you don't have to fake it. Yeah, I'm not quite there yet. I'm working on it, but I'm not quite there. You see, a person who lives a life of pride and arrogance will fabricate the truth. Yeah, I've got this under control. I'm the best there ever is and ever will be. We don't like those people, right? We don't want to be around those people that are constantly talking about how awesome they are because it gets on our nerves. And I think when it comes to humility, true humility is seeing yourself as God sees you, and it's having the confidence in who you are and who God is helping you become. We can find rest in being humble, and we can find rest in being last because we know that God will exalt us when the time is right and when He is ready.